Welcome to the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Friday, September 21st. This is Gina Palma. Over the next few days, we will have increases to wind again across the Great Basin after a relatively quiet day today. Another cold front will be approaching the area from the north, so winds will increase on Saturday and then be pushed east and south on Sunday, with wind gusts above 30 or 35 miles per hour and low relative humidity. The cold front will move through the area later on Saturday and on Sunday, and by Sunday be located across parts of Idaho, stretching back into northern Nevada, with a wind shift to the northwest. We'll also possibly see some cooler temperatures and showers over parts of Idaho on Sunday, along with some isolated thunderstorms, which will be fast-moving, therefore dropping little amounts of precipitation over parts of Utah. Looking at the last 24 hours, we saw no lightning and precipitation across the Great Basin, and we saw light initial attack with continued growth on our large fires. Over the last 7 days, the precipitation across the area has been minimal, with only some showers across the far north and over eastern Utah and Wyoming. And over the last 30 days, we've seen continued very dry conditions over 30 days or longer over southwest Idaho, much of Nevada, into western and northern Utah, with below normal precipitation over areas in the north and east. Therefore, ERCs are still well above normal and above records in many areas for the time of year, above the 80th to 90th percentile almost region-wide, with areas still over northern Utah, northern Nevada, and eastern Idaho and Wyoming above the 97th percentile. In some of the areas where we continue to see our large fires in western Wyoming and parts of northern Utah, we are seeing those ERCs come down a little bit over Wyoming with those cooler temperatures that we saw move through, but are still near records for the time of year. Over in Utah, which is also representative of northern Nevada and southern Idaho, ERCs remain at or above records for the time of year. The satellite loop from this morning shows that cold front that moved through a day or so ago well to the east, with generally westerly flow, clear skies, and lighter winds area-wide today. We do have another area of low pressure off the west coast, which will continue moving eastward and move a cold front through the Great Basin this weekend. Looking at the smoke dispersion forecast over the next few days, you can see today and tomorrow with those southwest winds, generally the smoke will be moving off to the northeast of our fire activity. And then on Sunday, you can see across Idaho how those winds shift to the northwest, and those northwest winds will push further south across the Great Basin as we go into Monday. Looking at our forecast again for later today, generally quiet conditions with still low relative humidity, and most areas of the Great Basin are in the brown for our fire potential outlook, with some areas in the far south and north in the yellow. As we look at the relative humidities today, generally single digits to low teens across much of the area. And again, winds will be lighter today. We still will have some breezes, around 20 miles per hour or so, maybe a little bit higher over parts of Idaho into northern and central Nevada. As we move into Saturday, you can see the trough of low pressure approach the west coast. Therefore, winds will be increasing with continued low relative humidity. So we have quite a few areas in high risk for gusty winds and low humidity on Saturday. Looking at the relative humidity, they do drop a little bit, especially in the north. We'll see single-digit relative humidities as far north as eastern Idaho into Wyoming. Looking at the wind picture, winds do increase, especially along the Sierra Front in western Nevada, and over parts of eastern Nevada, western Utah, and up across parts of Idaho and Wyoming. Most gusts will be around 30 to 35 miles per hour, but we could see a few higher gusts right along the Sierra Front. Most wind direction will be out of the southwest on Saturday. Looking into Sunday, that cold front really starts to push eastward into northern areas of the Great Basin over parts of Idaho into northern Nevada. So we will have some moisture that moves across the north and some higher humidity and cooler temperatures. However, we still have those winds to deal with out ahead of the front across parts of the Sierra Front into eastern Nevada and Utah and then up into Wyoming. Looking at the relative humidity on Sunday, you can see how those relative humidities do increase over central and southwest Idaho, but still remain low across especially Nevada into western Utah, and will come up a little bit even over western Wyoming, near or above 15%. Looking at the wind picture on Sunday, winds actually increase over eastern Nevada into Utah, so we will have some gusts around 40 miles per hour at times, but you can also see the wind direction shifts to the northwest over all of Idaho, Wyoming, and into the northern half of Nevada and far northwest Utah. The 3-day amount of precipitation is fairly light. We'll only see some shower activity over parts of central Utah, and then again over possibly the higher terrain, central Idaho, or over the higher terrain of Utah as we get into Sunday. Looking ahead into next week, We have high pressure rebuilding off the west coast, so we'll still see northwesterly winds across much of the area on Monday with some cooler temperatures and continued dryness. However, as we go into Tuesday, this ridge starts to push a little bit further east. Therefore, we'll see warming temperatures and lighter winds, but still very low relative humidity across the basin. Looking at Wednesday and Thursday, very similar with that ridge building in. We could have a system dropping in from the north, bringing in a dry cold front, but we'll kind of see how that goes as we get into the middle portion of next week. Otherwise, no significant precipitation is on the horizon for the Great Basin. The overall forecast amount of precipitation for the next 7 days, again, most of this is what we will see as we go into the weekend, as that cold front moves through the north, and then out ahead of the front as we see some thunderstorm possibly in Utah. The 8 to 14 day outlook takes us into the first couple of days of October, shows above normal temperatures and relatively dry conditions. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.